College football programs are loading up on the commitments this weekend as programs across the college football landscape hosted recruits. And we're going to talk about it next here on the Portal Podcast and the Recruiting Blitz.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football writer and recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. We're going to be talking about commitments across the Power Four, including 5 for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And we're also going to be talking about something that I wanted to throw in for fun. Let's change it up a little bit. SEC coaches in one very specific category. How would you rank them in terms of game day? And again, only category within this, game day ability. We're going to do that in the second segment. But let's start off with the recruiting blitz and the commitments. It is a big weekend. And before I get done with this, there's probably going to be more players commit. So let's just dive on in. 5 guys for PJ Fleck in the Minnesota Golden Gophers. That was pretty wild to begin with. And the first kid, this was wild on another front. It's where he's from. You think of the state of Utah, kids don't generally go all over the place after they live there. They stay West Coast, maybe go to Colorado, maybe go to Cal, maybe go to UCLA or something. But Matali Benjamin, offensive tackle, and I hope I pronounced his name correctly, he is from the state of Utah, and he's going to Minnesota. 6'6", 305 pounds, head to the traditional Big Ten, and good for him and good for Minnesota because they've got a program that's doing better, and they certainly run the ball well. So offensive linemen like that, and maybe that's why Daniel McMorris of Norman North in Oklahoma, right there where the University of Oklahoma is, maybe that's why he's going to Minnesota. Second guy that committed today. And then third, Angel Luciana, Steelton High-Spire High School in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, 220-pound linebacker. He's going to be a Gopher as well. Then we've got Aiden, I'm not sure how I pronounce this properly, Aytch. I'm not going to try. He's out of Lafayette, Indiana, my home turf in the state of Indiana. Jefferson High School, they've always had good football teams. 6'4", 220 pounds. He is going to be a Gopher. And then finalizing it, Anthony Charles out of South Fayette County Township in McDonald, PA, is also going to go to Minnesota, another edge player. 6'5", 195 pounds. He is a Gopher. Now, this is something that I thought was going to happen a couple of weeks ago when we had the May 16th weekend. Obviously, it didn't happen. But on top of that, I thought there would still be some leading into this weekend, and there wasn't very much. Maybe everything's just going to happen at once. Just something to throw out there. It's very possible. Again, as I do this pod, there could be several other schools that get it done. Wisconsin, the rival of the Gophers, got a couple commitments. Ben Wenzel, linebacker out of North High School in the state of Wisconsin in Appleton, 6'3", 220 pounds. He's going to be a Badger. We also have another commitment for the Wisconsin Badgers, Arthur Scott, Streetsboro High School in Streetsboro, Ohio, a 290-pound defensive tackle. That's a spot that Wisconsin definitely needed to add. They need at least, I would say, 3 D tackles in this class. This kid certainly fits the bill in terms of size. 6'3", 290. This is a player that may have a chance to play a little bit earlier there than what Wisconsin might like, but they haven't recruited D-line the way they've needed over the last 5 years. So we'll see what he can do for them. Cal, Elijah, and I'm going to try to pronounce this, and I apologize again, but Fami Atanu, he is a big-time offensive lineman out of the state of California, Merida Valley. He's a kid that's 6'5", 300 pounds. We got Maryland, Braden Marco, tight end. He's out of Gonzaga, one of the more tradition-rich programs in D.C. He is going to be a Maryland Terrapin, 6'6", 240 pounds. Rutgers is another school that really has been busy. Tyrell Simpson, offensive tackle out of North Brunswick and Wheeling, North Carolina. That's kind of an unusual area for Rutgers to get a player, 6'7", 310. And then they also got Xavier Stern, Germantown Academy, Fort Washington, Pennsylvania. He's a quarterback, big-bodied guy, 6'6", 215. I'm guessing a pocket passer at 6'6", 215. Now, height certainly will not be a concern, or will his girth? He's a big young man for his age. Tyler Duell, Westchester East and Westchester, PA. Another offensive tackle coming off the board. That's interesting. Rutgers gets a kid in Pennsylvania. Surprised that Pitt or Penn State didn't get him, but Tyler Duell is a kid that decides to go cross the river, and he's going to play for Rutgers. Georgia, maybe this is the beginning of the run. I said before the weekend that I thought Georgia would have a good weekend. Carter Lucky, brother, has played there at Georgia as well. Norcross, he is 6'5", 265 pounds, just outside of Atlanta. He was heavily recruited by programs all over, Florida State, Auburn, and a whole bunch of other schools in the South. They get him. Antavius Watts out of Carver High School in Columbus, Georgia, fairly close to where I live, committing to Mississippi State. He's a safety. He's a good kid. I met him a couple years ago. Really nice guy. We got Caleb Morris out of Montgomery, out of Mary G. Montgomery High School, 6'4", 265 pounds. He is going to Mississippi State. There's also Georgia Tech getting Xavier Rucker, running backs, 5'11", 200 pounds, out of Alatoona, Ackworth, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. He's going to Georgia Tech. And I'm not surprised that he committed, but I am surprised about where he's going. Mark Bowman, the tight end out of Mater Dei in Santa Ana, just outside of Los Angeles, has decided to pledge to the Trojans, arguably the number one tight end of the country, number one or number two by a lot of the services. I think the same. I think it's him and Caden Prothro. Great football prospect, great kid too. Trojans keep one home, and it's been a while since they've gotten a guy like this, kind of surprisingly, like a tight end. They've had some good tight ends, but that hasn't been their strength. Adding him to what they can do offensively with Lincoln Riley's offense, an inline guy that you could line up outside as well, that is a national prospect, probably a 5-star for most services. Really big pickup for them. Jeremiah Bushnell out of Iowa High School in Iowa, Louisiana. That's right, Iowa, Louisiana. Wide receiver, 6'3", 185. He's going to be a Houston Cougar. Then we move over, and we getting close to the end of the list here, but I'm not quite done yet. Let's see, where did I miss? Oh, we got another one here. We got Kansas State has a commitment as well, and so does NC State. Carmelo McKenzie, defensive lineman out of IMG Academy, going to NC State. They needed a D-line haul this year, 6'2", 280. They've done a tremendous job under Dave Dorn and his staff of coaching up D linemen, but they do have a new defensive coaching staff with a new DC. We'll see. Gibson took the Marshall job, for those that are wondering. That'll be interesting to see how that transpires. And then finally, Tanner West. He's out of Jordan High School in Katy, Texas, 6 foot, 185 pounds. Athlete, I'm guessing he's probably going to play safety. Maybe he'll end up playing slot or something. I'm not sure. But Kansas State gets one from just outside of Houston. In the Katy area is just absolutely loaded year after year after year. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's ready to play pretty early for the Kansas State Wildcats. The only other thing that I really want to talk about right now is, by the way, Ginevra Carr just committed to Florida. That's not really surprising. The offensive lineman is originally from the Ocala area. I remember meeting him when he was a freshman, and he was already 300 pounds. He's committed to the Gators. So as I do this just came up a minute ago. He has popped for the Florida Gators. And then also just want to kind of go over again. We're going to be talking about a bunch more commitments. A kid just committed as I started this podcast. There are going to be some others. Expect one, if not two podcasts a day for the next month, during the week especially, because there's so many kids committing randomly. It's just a matter of when it happens, where I'm at, if I'll be able to get two up. But you're going to see quite a bit of that on the Portal podcast. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about something different. Talk about SEC coaches. A lot of these guys get the elite talent, but do they utilize the recruiting talent they get to the best of their ability on game day? That's the one category. Game day coaching for SEC coaches. That is next here on the Portal podcast. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment? It's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building actual wealth. For one way to do it and look at it from a very convenient perspective. Instead of tracking everything under multiple apps with Monarch Money, you could track everything in one place. You could also do so with your partner. So this isn't just something for you. If you wanted to do it with your partner, you can absolutely do that with Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for a half off your first year. If you were to rank the top Southeastern Conference coaches based on no other category, just one thing, and I know everybody's super opinionated about coaching, but the one category, how well do they manage the game day? Now, this is still subjective beyond the basics because over what time period? Is it just the last 2-3 years? However you want to do it, I'm not going to get too specific because some of these guys are newer head coaches, like a Shane Beamer. And then you got guys like Brian Kelly that have been a head coach for nearly 40 years. So you do it however you see fit. I'm not going to name the names of the people that have replied to me for obvious reasons, but I asked several of my colleagues around the recruiting industry, guys that work high schools, guys that cover football, guys that just are media analysts, all kinds of different people that follow college football or are in it in some capacity. I'm going to give you the rankings that I came up with from them. I just added them up, and then I'm going to give you mine. It's just for fun. It's an easy exercise, but I want you to comment down below. If you like a guy, comment why. If you think my list or somebody else's list is bonkers, fire away. I don't care what it is. Let's just have some fun discussion with this. So first off, when I look at it, these are the guys that I got, and I had a bunch of people reply to this. I got more replies than I thought I would. 3, 4, 5, 12 different coaches made the list. And to be clear, I said, besides Kirby Smart, because I knew everybody was going to put Kirby 1 or 2. So I said, just leave him out. He's got 2 national titles. Many people rank him number 1 in the sport, blah, blah, blah. Just leave him out. I said, give me your 4 guys beyond Kirby Smart. So again, I would rank him 1, and I think almost everybody would. But here's how I had it, and then I'm going to give you the totals for what everybody else did. My list, Sarkisian, I think especially as a play caller, he's gotten pretty darn good, and they're much better in big games than what a lot of other people are. And like especially when they went to A&M last year, their offense wasn't clicking, but he didn't get too greedy. They just played defense. He swallowed his pride a little bit, and they beat the Aggies, I believe, pretty bad there. It was 17-7, something like that, or 17, whatever it was, but they just destroyed the Aggies offense, and he was okay with it. That to me showed maturity, especially for an offensive guy that wants to light it up. That's a very good sign. So I had him number 1. Brian Kelly's had not 1, not 2, but 3 undefeated seasons. I think it's pretty easy to pick that team or that coach is somebody that should be very high. So I had him 2. But if anybody else wants to hate on that, that's fine, because here in the last couple of years, I don't think he's managed games very well. Historically, he does. Culture is really good. Game day is really good. He was all the way back to his days at Grand Valley State, Central Michigan, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, and now LSU. He's been pretty consistent with that. But here in the last year or two, because of that, if you dropped him off, I get it. But I had him number 2. Number 3 is somebody that really didn't get many votes from my buddies. And that's Eli Drinkwitz over at Missouri. They've got good talent, but I don't think they have great talent. And it takes better game day to make them competitive. They've been competitive against Georgia. They've been competitive against pretty much every team they played for the most part. And I'm not saying he hasn't had some duds, but they had to come back like last year against Auburn when they were just playing awful. He was partially responsible for that. So you never know what's going to happen in the SEC, but I think he's pulled his fair share of wins in close games. Josh Heupel, Tennessee. Some of the people I know that follow Tennessee think he's a little bit too conservative of a play caller. That's ironic because he's known for the passing game, but he's still a pretty good game day guy. They've had wins against teams like LSU and Bama, etc. I think he's one of the better coaches in college football. I'd be curious to see what he would do, especially now that they've gotten so much attention, if they had Nico coming back, but they're changing everything. So this year to me is just kind of a mulligan, whatever happens, but I think he's a good coach. And then 5th, probably going to surprise everybody. It's Clark Lee. They don't have anywhere near the talent the other teams in the SEC do. and they beat Bama last year, etc. I think he's one of the rising stars in college football, but that's just my opinion. Now, for the list, based on the rankings, it really wasn't all that close. Sarkisian was by landslide the number one guy. Again, this is beyond Kirby Smart. I took him off the board. Sarkisian was number one. Lane Kiffin was number two. To me, he just doesn't win enough big games. This could be his year. I think he's got the right quarterback in Austin Simmons, but historically, Lane is not a good big game coach. DeBoer and Heupel were tied at third. Then there was Kelly and Shane Beamer thereafter. But again, Sarkisian was definitively the winner. He had first place votes from 4 different people, and he also had a couple of second place votes on this. He was the number one guy. Again, comment. Why do you like somebody? Why do you not? If you think my list or anybody else is crazy, fire away. But it's just a fun exercise that I wanted to add on to the Recruiting Blitz today. And again, as a reminder, there's going to be a lot more recruiting news. There could be somebody commit 5 minutes after I finish this podcast that I need to do another podcast. It is very random. 17-year-olds are going to do 17-year-old things. So let's keep that in mind. It is going to be a very busy month of June, especially in the back half and into the first 10 days of July. That's when most of the commitments will take place. We're going to be right here on the Portal Podcast and the Recruiting Blitz, making sure that you get all your news each and every day. It's a lot of fun. So stop in, make sure you subscribe, hit that podcast like button, and make sure that you comment down below. We will see you again soon here on the Portal Podcast.